In this video, we are discussing how we discipline children. My specialty is toddler, but this information does apply to children of all ages and also adolescents. And this foundational piece of discipline in Montessori classrooms and Montessori-inspired homes is freedom and limits. You might also hear it called freedom within limits. It is the same thing. And so our goal in disciplining is to guide the children so that eventually they will be able to discipline themselves and be able to control their will and behave in a way that allows them to adapt to become members of society, people of their time and place, and eventually to transform that society for the better. That's our ultimate goal. We need freedoms and we need limits. Freedoms help that child explore the world. They help the child engage with the world, learn more about what is this place I've been born into, what's going on at this school, what's going on in this home and in the community. So they need the freedom to interact with people and to interact with the physical environment and able to learn that. They also need freedom to explore so that they can develop their language, their social skills, their gross motor skills, and their fine motor skills, and their spiritual self. All aspects of the whole child are developed through having the freedom to interact with the people, animals, plants, and objects in their environment. That's one of the purposes of giving children freedom. Freedoms should be developmentally appropriate. So we don't give a 1-year-old the same freedom we would give a 16-year-old. They should be respectful of the child's interests and passions. Freedom should allow the child to follow that inner teacher, that timekeeper, that taskmaster that tells the child, engage with this, practice doing this, repeat it until you master that skill. Freedom should allow the child to engage with the people and the space that they are in fully in a way that is safe for them at the different age that they are in. And freedom should allow the child an opportunity to transform the world. So a toddler can transform the world by mopping up their own spill, buttering their own toast, feeding the dog. If they're getting into that dog kibble, then maybe it's time, like my granddaughter, to get the chore of feeding the dog. So just simple little ways as a toddler that they'll be transforming the world, but then they'll build upon that and develop more skills based on that experience. And the impact on the world will be more positive when the child has grown up having freedoms, but also having limits. Limits are important so that we are not neglecting the child's development by not giving them any guidance. Limits are necessary because limits help a child to feel safe and secure. Limits show that the adults in their world care about them enough to teach them about what is safe to do in this world, what is a risk that they can take that will develop their growth, versus something that is hazardous that they need to stay completely away from. Limits show the child that adults care enough about them to teach them about the safe way and the appropriate way to interact with people, other living beings, and with the environment. And knowing that they can trust the adult to do that helps them feel more secure and helps the world be more predictable to them. And being able to predict what's happening in your life gives a sense of security and safety to people of all ages, right? So for limits to have their intended impact, they have to be clearly communicated, and they have to be limits that the child you're setting the limits on can understand. So a 8-year-old can understand obviously more than a 1-year-old. So we want to communicate limits that the toddler can understand, and until they are able to understand the limits, then of course it's our duty to protect them. So clearly communicated limits that the child can understand and limits that the child is capable of obeying, right? We can't put a limit on a child when they're unable to execute that limit. That would be unfair to them and not respectful. And the adults in the child's environment, whether it's the home and getting all of the adults and older children who are helping raise that child on board with setting and enforcing the same limits, and also true in the classroom. So all the Montessori adults in the Montessori classroom are being consistent about making the limits clear and enforcing them. So Dr. Montessori was very clear in her books and teachings about what activities should be limited. And while we emphasize freedom a lot in Montessori, there are very clear things that need limits. And so she did say, Dr. Montessori did say, that we should respect all forms of reasonable activity. Sometimes I hear people say all forms of activity. No, that is not what she said. She said all forms of reasonable activity and seek to understand it. All right. So what do we know is unreasonable? Well, there's 3 D's that you can glean through her direct teaching and is in practice in Montessori classrooms today, beginning in toddler Montessori classrooms, going all up into adolescence. And so what is unreasonable would be anything that is dangerous, anything that is disrespectful, and anything that is disruptive. So dangerous, that would be dangerous to humans or any other living beings. And it also includes anything that's dangerous or destructive to the environment. So for example, coloring on the walls, that is dangerous or destructive to the environment. So we would not allow that. We'd give them some paper to color on. And then, of course, to people, we are not going to let them hit other children. We're not going to let them hit us because we want them to develop other skills when they're frustrated. So we are going to redirect that, understand the emotion, help them label emotions, help them find alternatives to expressing that emotion. But we're not going to let them hit people. We're not going to let them, pull the dog's tail, even if the dog is tolerant, because then they're building neural pathways. I can just go around and pull on people and hit people however I choose, right? So from an early age, we want to make sure that we have the limit of unreasonable activity being something that's dangerous. Okay, also disruptive. So in the classroom, disruptive might be a child going over to another child's work and saying, I want that, and then walking off with it and leaving the child with all or part of their work missing. That would be destructive. Standing in the middle of the room, screaming would be disruptive. That same situation can happen at home too. So anything that's disrupting other children from concentrating or other people from living their lives in the way that they see fit is disruptive. And of course, we will have to compromise sometimes, but in general, we're going to want to allow people to live their life as they see fit, as long as it's not disrupting our life or being dangerous. And the third is disrespectful. And this is something that adults in the Montessori toddler environment and in the home have to really be in agreement on. And we all come from different families of origin. We come from different cultures. And so there will be, differences in how we show respect. And there will also be things we have in common that are generally perceived as disrespectful in our community. And so the adults do have to agree on what is going to be considered disrespectful in the classroom and in the home. So some examples might be that we don't, spit on someone's plate. Redirect, you may spit in the sink. We don't spit in people's faces. Spitting is a common form of exploration in the toddler world, so it's one that's on top of mind. But anything else disrespectful, like calling someone poo-poo head instead of their name, we would say, oh, my name's Julie, that's what you can call me. If you want to talk poop, go into the bathroom and you can talk poop there. So it's really important to balance the freedom and the limits. so that we're not being so strict that the child feels stifled and can't engage with their environment to the benefit of their overall development. This video has day-to-day tips for helping you enforce those limits, and this playlist has videos to offer meaningful work to your child, which is another component in developing self-discipline. All right, thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more of this content. Take care.